Well, it's exciting times. It's opening day. Our guys have been here for a couple of weeks, working out on their own for the most part. But it's a universal start date today, January 24th, exactly 3 weeks from opening day on Valentine's Day. So it's always new beginnings. We get to spend the fall with these guys. A lot of new faces. Only 6 returners from last year's team. 31 new guys. So it's exciting times. Exciting times. I'm looking forward to a great season.
A lot of new guys. Are you expecting Daniel Cuvet? Obviously, maybe going to help these younger guys kind of set the tone for how you're expected to perform.
We hope so. I think we hope that Cuvet continues to build on last season. Obviously, had a great year, but our goal is always to get better every day and every season. So, as far as he's concerned, he's got to worry about Daniel Cuvet and do his job and do everything that he does better, and hopefully guys follow along and work as hard as he does and study the game as well as he does, and just do their part.
You said he's a hard worker. Speak a little bit to him as an athlete. He's been projected to so many preseason honors so far, maybe the best player in the ACC this upcoming season. So how do you speak to him as a player?
Well, he's obviously very talented, physically talented. What sets him apart is he's a student of the game. He studies the game. He loves to practice. So those combinations kind of feed the fact that he's such a good player and continues to get better every day. And he understands what his weaknesses are. And just it's easy for him to just go and hit all day long. He understands he's got to work on his defense and his base running and everything else. And he's a great self-evaluator, and he works hard in all aspects of the game.
JD, they said that he's the first one in, last one out. But give me an example of something that you noticed and you're like, "Oh, this kid's a little different."
Well, the first week, all our guys were back a week before classes started, and they're out here on their own working out, and getting phone calls on Saturdays and Sundays that he wants to get on the field and take ground balls. Can we put the tarp out and stuff like that? So. That's a special, for a kid any age, especially a 20-year-old, 19, 20-year-old sophomore. I can think of a lot of things he could be doing on a Saturday, Sunday, but he wants to come out on the field, and he's bringing teammates with him. So that's always a good sign and good sign of leadership.
And you were a Hurricane. Obviously, you grew up here. He's a lifelong Hurricane. I guess he committed when he was in 9th grade. Yeah, in this day and age of guys jumping from one place to another, his heart is here.
It is, and again, I'm sure he probably had opportunities to go elsewhere, and he chose to stay. And his dad works at the university, so he's been a Cane for a very long time before he even knew it, probably. So, but obviously we're very fortunate to have him, and just if you can spread his love and enthusiasm for the program is the most important part.
Speaking of building off of last year, obviously it was your first season as head coach. Just what do you think you take from last year that will help you benefit this year?
Well, a lot of lessons learned, the hard way. So obviously it wasn't a great season, but it was I always say you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes. So there was a lot of opportunities to learn and get better from last year. So it's we had some injuries, key injuries that came into play last year as well. It was a very young roster. This year, you look at our rosters; it's a very mature group. We got a couple of 24-year-olds. One of our catchers got engaged over the break, so it's I think the mindset and the attitude is just it's way different, and it comes with age and maturity.
JD, you talked about making sure you build a lineup around Daniel, making sure you brought in bats. How do you feel like the rest of the guys, and maybe how you're kind of hoping it shakes out with the other offensive guys?
Well, you got Dorian Gonzalez back as well from last year. Had a good season for us as a junior. He's back as a senior. We got Jake Ogden coming in. We got Hudson at first base. We got Williams in the outfield. We got a couple freshmen in the outfield, and Torres and Peralta, and Max Galvin coming in from Oklahoma State. So we feel like we've created enough protection around them where they can't just eliminate them from a lineup, right? There was a couple teams that would I think Virginia Tech intentionally walked them with nobody on. I don't think that's going to happen when we build some guys and put some guys behind them to protect them in the lineup. I feel like we've done that.
These 3 weeks of preseason practices, do you staying with the guys in the line? A lot of competition still for spots, do you feel like, or do you feel like you've kind of have your guys that you're thinking about?
No, it's still a lot of competition. Again, when you have you have 7 new starters in the lineup, there's always competition. So the great thing about this roster is not a big drop off from the starter to whoever the backup ends up being. So that to me is going to be the biggest challenge. It's been a very close group. They hang out off the field often. It's a great locker room and clubhouse, and that's all put to the test on February 14th when the first lineup is posted, and there's only 9 starting hitters and 1 starting pitcher. So that to me is going to be the biggest challenge with this team.
pitching wise, where are you at with your kind of the starters that you're eyeing? How many groups? We're talking about
When
competition.
you lost our entire weekend rotation from a year ago, and our group be our closer, because our closer last year, Nick Robert is not going to be in that role this year. He was kind of out of position last year. He's more suited to be a starter, and he definitely will be one of those weekend, starting guys. You're going to have 4 new starters, so it's competition is going to come down to that last week. February 13th, we'll know what the rotation is going to be. Probably a week before that with bullpens, but it's great. It's competition is healthy. It drives guys to work harder. The key again is once they don't win a job that they expect to have, how they respond, how do they become the best relief pitcher and help the bullpen and help the team win games.
You have 13 freshmen on the roster, like you say, so it's your group, but also it's a lot of young players as well. Has anybody stand out like in that key group, or is it just all a group effort of what's going forward?
On the offensive side, defensively, we feel that Peralta and Torres can play center field and start from day one. The question with any freshman hitter is the bat, and I think they're challenged enough in our inner squads with our pitching staff, the depth of our pitching staff, that learning curve is being cut down dramatically. So, guys like Quig is a guy that's been a pleasant surprise. He came in as a third baseman, but because of necessity, we put him behind the plate, and he's shown the ability to play there right away. So that gives us 3 freshman catchers and 1 senior. So our backup is going to be a freshman, so he's going to get significant playing time. And on the mound, AJ Siskar, Mikey Fernandez, Lachi those guys are going to get innings. Whether they're in the starting rotation, whether they're setup guys, who knows? But they are going to get a lot of significant time with significant innings. And I think the strength of this team is the depth in the bullpen, something we lacked drastically the last couple of years, to be honest with you. But last year as well. But you're going to see that the depth that we have is going to set us apart.
What have you seen with Tanner Smith behind the plate defensively? I know that was obviously a key point, and how much that can help, your team overall, help your pitching.
The biggest thing with him is, even coming in as a transfer first day in, it's his leadership qualities, showed right away. Without even being asked to, he kind of took charge of that with the pitching staff, and took charge of the clubhouse, to be honest with you. And that's exactly what you want out of your catcher. Whether he hits 300 or not, he's got to be a leader, number one. A guy's going to be a key part, an ingredient, as we call it, when it comes to the pitching staff. He's going to be involved with those guys heavily, and he showed those qualities right away from day one.
Coach, with so many versatile players, how do you balance getting the best defensive lineup and then also getting as many bats as you can in the lineup?
I think you don't finish the game the way you started. So you're going to start with your best 9 bats in the lineup. Depends on the mound. If it's a guy that's a contact guy, Nick Robert is the 8th contact guy. That's why he was kind of out of position last year in the bullpen. But he's a guy that's very efficient if he has a good defense behind him. So we have a Brian Walters starting, and he's more of a strikeout guy. You can sacrifice some of your defense and put another bat in there. But we got plenty of pieces to move around, and you're probably not going to finish games the way you start them. That's a good thing. That means you got the lead, and use those guys accordingly to whatever our strengths are at the time and what's needed.
Where are you at right now, health-wise? Is everybody, or are there players that
outstanding? Everybody's healthy. We had one. Robert Evans was a left-handed starting pitcher out of Georgia State that came in with a surgically repaired. It wasn't soft tissue. It wasn't a Tommy John or anything. It was like a fractured bone. So he missed most of the fall, but he got in the last week of fall ball and threw a couple innings. And he's been healthy, ready to go. Alex Stanek is the only other pitcher that did not throw all fall, but he's 100%. He'll be throwing today, first day in the inner squad.
Nolan or Evan, one of them down?
He's fine. So his arm was a little sore in the fall.
Which one was it?
Nolan Johnson.
It was.
Nolan Johnson, but he's back 100% as well. It was just put him on some time off and then a throwing program, and he's good to go.
Is this the coldest first practice you guys have had?
By far.
Yeah.
I only have worn this so many layers ever here as a Hurricane, at home anyway.
I'll just
All right, Daniel, year 2 for you. Just how are you feeling, headed into your sophomore season?
Good. Excited. This team is very different. We have a lot of new pieces that are really exciting. So I think it's going to be a really fun year.
Going from kind of the new kid on the block to now looked upon as a guy, as a leader on the team, how are you kind of getting used to that role?
It's not really a different role for me. It's the same. My goals are the same, and everything I want to achieve for myself and for this team doesn't change. So I'm just like same energy, same type of mindset is still brought out here every day.
And then from your freshman year, really successful. Just what do you think are some things that you learned from that last year that are going to help you out this year?
Yeah, I mean, last year I feel like I had a lot of confidence and belief in myself early on before people kind of knew what was going to happen, before like what happened. And then I just like want to keep that same mindset with that confidence. I mean, obviously having that little bit of doubt, or people will say fear of like, can you do it again? That's like what pushes me every day to keep getting better and keep working hard.
What's something with your game you feel like you really concentrate on to be better for this season, over the off season, over the summer?
Yeah, I mean, concentrating on like defense. Obviously, I want to get better, improve there. Even in the box, there's always room to improve. Maybe like chasing less or walking more, or kind of being more like also not taking like my at-bats to the field, or like something that happened, like letting it stack on the rest of the game.
I'm just curious what you made of last year. You spoke on individually, your numbers, obviously the team success. Just how did you process the whole season when you look back on last year?
I mean, right when the season ended, honestly, I kind of just told myself that it was in the past, like the next day, and ever since then, I've just left it in the past and been looking forward to this season and what this season has, because what happened last year is already done, and like it doesn't determine anything about this year, so that's what I'm looking forward to. JD
mentioned obviously just with transfer portal stuff, there's obviously, it's always on the table. He said you could have options. Essentially, why did you want to return? Why is it important for you to be a Hurricane here?
Yeah, I mean, I love JD. I trust him with what he was going to do with this program, and I mean, the team we have this year is definitely going to show why he's a good coach, and it's going to show why I stayed and why this team's going to be great this year.
What do you think about the guys in the lineup that you saw from fall ball, the new guys, freshmen, transfers? What do you kind of think of this lineup?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely confident in the lineup. It's kind of hard to say who's going to hit where because we have so many guys who can really swing it and help out on the team, so I think it's going to be a strong lineup.
And then pitching-wise, just your impressions of all the new guys. Kind of again, what are you seeing from the guys on the mound?
Yeah, pitching is definitely a big step. Obviously, we lost some of our big starters, but we have guys to fill those roles that are ready to go. And our back end to our bullpen to the back end of the bullpen is definitely super strong. So I think those guys are going to hold out for us really well this year.
Daniel, what did you learn from playing in the cave, Team USA, being around that caliber of player?
I mean, that was fun. Like, that was a great experience. Talking to a lot of guys who are at high-level programs, seeing how they go about their things and what they do. That was really exciting to learn and like see like what they do and how they think and kind of how they go about their work. Summer ball was cool. Like, you can like do your own thing, but also you can get routines and learn different ideas and thoughts throughout the summer through different guys, which I really enjoyed.
Did I see a couple 450-plus shots?
Yeah, there was like two.
There was a couple? Yeah. What were the guys saying when you walked in the dugout?
I mean, it was cool. A lot of those guys, I mean, they're high-level guys like myself, and they're used to that. They're around that all the time, so.
They're used to 450-foot home runs?
Yeah, those guys. They play around also a bunch of studs, so they've seen that before.
Awesome. Anything else?
Yeah, just anything physically changed with you in the off-season?
No, nothing physically. I've been working on my speed a little bit, but obviously I'm never going to be a big base stealer, so just trying to hopefully stretch some more doubles.
Dorian Gonzalez Jr., is there any questions?
Going 3 weeks out from opening day, just kind of what's the feeling like in the clubhouse? How are the guys feeling ahead of the season?
Just a lot of excitement. Like you said, we're 3 weeks away. We worked really hard in the off season to get to this point and eventually to the season. We're just really confident in the group that we have, and we're ready to go.
Year 4 for you, just how are you processing things? How fast have these last 4 years gone for you?
Yeah, for me, it's just more about slowing the game down and helping those younger guys as well. Once they get here, to just like remind them that they've played the game their whole life. It's baseball. You're having fun and just slowing the game down, like you said.
Dorian, just what do you think is kind of the key for you guys these 3 weeks heading into the season to kind of be operating at a high level out of the gate? Obviously, we know what your schedule is early on.
Yeah, just really focusing in on the little things. Yesterday we had our first longer practice, and at the end of the practice we reflected on it. We needed to clean up some defensive work, some things that you can't really work on in the off season. The team's not really together. So just cleaning up some team defense stuff. The offense looks great. The swings look great. So just cleaning up the little things.
Obviously, captain last year, but just anything different for you as a leader with the team? So many new guys on the team. Vocal. Just anything different that you're kind of doing this year?
Yeah. We obviously have a lot of new guys on the team this year, and it's really about starting that gel with the team, which we did a good job of in the fall. And I think they did a great job of bringing in new guys, good character guys, and we really have gelled, and I think we're going to be a really good team this year.
Dorian, I got to ask this as a Glenn guy, playing with Brandon Nagodi now, they have the middle infield going on. What's that relationship like, and teaching him?
Yeah, it's awesome. Our families actually go way back. I've known him for a long time. He's actually like a little brother to me. But it's just great. He's one of those freshmen that I kind of have to tell him that it's baseball. You've been playing it your whole life. Just slow the game down. But he's another guy that might step up big for us. He might have a big role, and I'm just excited to see him out there with me.
The impressions is that there's a lot of freshmen that might step up and stand out. What other freshmen have you seen that could step up and stand out to the next level?
Yeah, Brandon, is going to have a shot to get some playing time. I think also in center field, Mikey Torres or Fabio Peralta. They're two guys that have really stood out in the fall and up to now. And then there's some arms. Mikey Fernandez, left-handed pitcher. He's looked great. He will probably have a big role for us to start out the bullpen, and just other guys like Azaro Piazzo, Lachi we call him, and Tate Darius that have really good fastballs. So just a lot of guys that we're going to be counting on this year.
Dorian, when you talk about the lineup, you said it brought in a lot of good guys. Is there something where you think that this team will be better at offensively, or that you're hoping offensively that you think they'll be a little bit different this year?
Yeah, I think our lineup is definitely well-rounded, more well-rounded this year. We have a lot of guys that can get on base. We have quite a few guys that can hit the ball out of the park, some high average guys. So I think from top to bottom, I think our lineup will be a lot better than last year.
From coming from a freshman now that you're a sophomore.
Just same thing, continue to do my job. The rules may have changed, but the same baseball game that we all play, and just win every game that I'm on the mound.
Anything change, any drastic different pitches or any speed changes with what you got going on?
I gained some speed, but I'd say just you're going out there longer, so you got to kind of control your emotions and stuff like that. But other than that, same thing.
What are some things you think you learned from your experience last year that are going to help you out a lot this season?
I was a freshman, so I kind of didn't know what to expect. I just kind of stayed even keeled and trusted the process. But now I feel like I can step into a leading role, and yeah.
There's a lot of new arms in that team as well. A lot of different freshmen, different transfers. Anybody standing out?
I feel like everyone. We have so many unique arms. I think JD brought in everyone for a purpose, so everyone was going to play a key role.
I think from a strength and conditioning standpoint, how's your body changed and how's the experience been?
I feel like Soto has done a great job in that aspect. I gained probably like 5-10 pounds, just faster, stronger, everything. But I feel like that comes with more maturity too as well.
Having a head coach like JD that comes from the bullpen as a pitching guy, how beneficial is that for you?
It's very beneficial. Obviously you have a pitching coach too and him, so both knowledges that come together. It helps you as a player, but also as a person too that JD is. He's a person head coach, people head coach, so off the field stuff is really important, and then when you get on the field, it's way easier to just play for him. So.